Right. Check. 1 2 1 2. Break. My hair is probably crazy. What's up?
All right.
Ready to get this started? You ready to get this started, Alexander Gray? Alexander Gray is in the building with us. What's up, everybody? We can look at the camera now. Guess we're using a camera now.
That's weird.
It is weird. We usually do this sitting on our bed, which is right here. You can't see our bed.
But it's right there.
But it's right there. That's what this is on. That's what this is on. And if you can't see me because you're listening to the podcast version, I just pointed at the microphone and the tray that the microphone is on. Okay. So as we go through this today, we're obviously trying something new. This is for our YouTube channel and for the podcast. So it's for both. And we're trying something new. Alexander Gray is going to kick it with us awake. He's usually asleep when we do this, but now he's going to be awake.
It's been a month.
It's been over, for sure, over a month.
And it was easier before because he would sleep and noise wouldn't wake him.
Yep.
And now anything distracts him.
Yep. He is a super nosy kid.
Yes.
So when he rests and he hears something, he looks immediately. So you're going to hear him. We'll probably have to stop a few times and cut to a commercial break or something like that. Like that.
Like that.
Just like that. So if you get annoyed by sounds of babies crying,
this might not be
this
for
is not
you.
This is not your moment. This is not your moment. But so today, the reason we took so long was because we were trying to find a way to be able to do this and do it productively and do it effectively. Obviously, with becoming new parents and trying to figure out how it works with baby AG, it's been kind of difficult, and so it's taken us a while. Pause. First pause of our session. But it's been...
do what you can with what you've got.
Exactly. Literally. This is the epitome of that. And so we didn't want it to stop what we're doing. We feel like right now is...
We're in for a long thing.
We're back.
Again.
The garage is going on and off. But yeah, so we felt like it's a really important time to talk about hope. It's been a constant theme for us during this time, really just talking through how do we keep hope during a time like this when everything is changing and
so fast.
Everything on social media is not helping whatsoever. It's been really cool, honestly, to just like for us to talk. That's our favorite little neighborhood. What is he?
It's the elote man.
Elote man. Continuing on. That time it was the elote man.
What a joke.
But yeah, so wanting to have this conversation to help people and just being reminded. One of my favorite quotes is that, and I'm paraphrasing, but it's that people need to be reminded more than they need to be taught. And so this is more so a reminder, and everything that we do on our platform together is really just to serve as a reminder for people to remember that even though things look super hopeless, there is always, always, always hope to be able to find. So anything you want to add, babe, before we jump in?
No, I think it's gonna be a good one, and I think like being real and honest and vulnerable, like it's something that we literally just talked about, like
right.
What was it, an hour ago?
If even, yeah.
Yeah,
right.
Because today has been like a tough day, so
yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So we feel it too.
Yeah.
But like you said, there's so many reminders that like there's still so much hope, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Word. So first thing I feel like would be dope to jump into, what are some sources that can steal our joy during this time, or things that have stolen our joy, or what are some things that we feel like have interrupted our joy and our hope? Obviously that's our focus, so I'll let you start off on that. What do you feel like is something that steals your hope, that can get you unfocused from hope, and things like that.
Social media.
Boom. What about it though? Because obviously not everything on social media is.
I just think that there's a lot of stuff circulating and being exposed on social media right now. Granted, it's good, things are coming to light, but I think it could also turn to be too much sometimes.
Right.
And I think there's a lot of, everywhere you look on social media, it's President Trump said this, now this is happening.
Right.
Governor Ducey this. People are up here. Coronavirus cases skyrocketing. Vaccines, could they happen? Could they not? It's just a lot of negative things. There's hardly anything that's good. Right. You know what I mean? For the most part, it's a meme about how terrible times are right now.
Right.
Which makes you laugh, but it's man, that's so real.
Making light of it. Yeah, for sure.
And then it's out of, say, 20 posts, there's probably 5 that are positive. The rest are just talking about how they're over it, how people need to mask up and stay home, and just a reminder of how bad things are right now, so I think that's one. It's
everyone kind of accusing each other, or just continuously pointing out the problem.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of solutions, not a lot of help, not a lot of offering community or anything like that. Right. But keep going, sorry.
I was just going to say, which is why I actually just deleted my social media apps earlier today. Just because, even for me, it was just getting to be too much. I was, finding myself digging and digging and digging and looking through, tons of conspiracy theories.
My gosh. Can we pause and talk about the conspiracy theories?
No.
Sandy B
I don't want to.
is the number one person to... If I'm looking into something that's a conspiracy theory, which I haven't for how long? It's been years. It's been so long since I've looked into anything that's a conspiracy theory. And she used to be oh my gosh, that stuff's just crazy, or that's too much, or whatever. And I'm a person that I will get so into, I'm super, what's the word I'm looking for? A lot of my thoughts are lofty, right? That's just kind of how I am. That's kind of my personality type. I'm the person that you're what are you thinking? And I'm I'm just thinking about the purpose of life, right?
Yes. Oh,
right.
Gosh.
And so, and it's everything about that, everything surrounding that, right? And so I am there. My mind is 75 that's cutting it real low. At least 75% of my thoughts are centered around these purpose-driven life purpose thoughts.
How can we change the world?
How do we change the world? And how, that's most of my thoughts, right? And she'll be the first one to be yeah, that's just that's just a lot for me to think about, right? But then I'll go get some work done, and I'll come back, and it'll be maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes, all the way up to an hour, right? Later, I'll come back, and she'll be you'll be sitting on the bed babe, and she will run off a list of things that are going on in the world or not going on in the world. Some of it's dang, okay, I can see that being true. And then a lot of it is yo, what does that do for our life? Most of the time, that's my response. We'll go through this long conversation. At the end, I'll be I just don't get what that changes about our life now. We just spent an hour talking about a conspiracy theory that doesn't really change anything for us. But so that's just really funny. I wanted to pause and talk about that because most of the time I'll come in, you'll be did you know that this person that died 10 years ago is not really dead? But wait, they're connected to this. And it'll go. And one of the first ones I remember mainly was when Nipsey Hussle. when Nipsey died. When Nipsey died, you went. That I literally got back from a celebrity event. I don't remember where I was, but I flew in. You picked me up from the airport, and we were going to. You were at MCC at the time. You were in school, and we got in the car. We were on our way to go drop her off at school, and literally the first thing you said was, "Did you know that Nipsey died?" And I remember looking at you like, how do you even know who Nipsey Hussle is? Have you ever listened to a Nipsey Hussle song? And then it went from there. It's just been like periodically.
I was late to class.
You were, and it was because I wish I could see that dialogue between you and your teacher. But conspiracy theories. So first is social media. 2 is conspiracy theories, which come from social media. Mm-hmm. What else? Is there anything else?
I would say those are like the biggest things. Just in, I guess news is also social media, and just, I would say like the virus. Like the virus has disrupted a huge portion of our life.
Yeah.
And I think for a lot of people it has, but I think it also, a lot of people are still living like normal. You know what I mean? Right. Whereas for us, like it kind of, it really did just, I mean, granted, the baby flipped our world upside down in the best way possible.
Yeah, it's just been a crazy ride.
But adding that on top of that, you know, like it's just more. And it's funny because I think my brother actually mentioned, because I'm super paranoid about like going out and being super careful, and we haven't been out in like 6.5 months, like the baby and I. And I remember the other day my brother actually was like, I'm so sick of being here, because they've been home too since they got back from Mexico in March. And he's like, I just want to go out with my friends, like, and this is coming from a kid that was out every single day, every single weekend, you know. And I just said something like, I just don't understand why people are still going out. Like, how can people be taking their kids out when, like, we're in the middle of a pandemic? Are they not afraid for their kids' health? Like, that's my biggest concern.
Right.
And he was just like, he just turned to me and said, you really, just because your world got flipped upside down and everything has changed and you've paused everything, doesn't mean everyone else has to too. And it kind of like hit me, because I was like, oh, that's true. Like, just because my world has drastically changed, I think part of my frustration comes with seeing that other people's lives are still the same, which is fine.
They're
you know what I mean?
Changed,
right?
Yeah, for sure.
But I think it comes with some frustration, because it's like, I want to be able to go out. I want to be able to take and to meet family and friends and go out to sit at a restaurant, you know. But I think like that was just a good reminder too. Yeah. You know, that like people are taking it very differently. Yeah. But I would say that's a big joy stealer of mine.
Yeah, for sure.
The virus.
That, I feel like that one's unanimous. Yeah. For sure, for everyone. But I agree, and I think that, so what I want to focus on for today is really just like, how do we combat that stuff, you know? And I think obviously we don't have all the answers or anything, but it's a conversation that we've been having for a few weeks now, like almost daily, I feel like. Yeah. So in our process and the conversation, I felt like it was probably beneficial to others to be able to hear the conversation as well, and to hear from you guys too. So if anybody has anything that you want to like lay down that'll help, then absolutely. If you have an opinion about a conspiracy theory, Sandy B's your girl, and she'll go in on it with you. But yeah, so I feel like, again, we've been talking about social media a lot, and I agree with pretty much all those. I think social media isn't that big of a hope stealer for me lately, just because I haven't been on it as much. And I've just been kind of honestly focused on what we can control. And I think that's probably the first thing I would say is like, thinking about what you can control is probably one of the greatest ways to combat that. Mm-hmm. Like hopelessness. Because when you start focusing on the things that you can't control, it's so easy in those moments for you to like, I guess I would say like our hope is kind of connected to that in a way. Our hope is connected to what we can and cannot control. And so I speaking for myself, I feel that. Go ahead, girl, get your yawn on. But yeah, so I feel like the more things where I say, okay, I can't control this, I can't control this, I can't control this, all of a sudden I start having this anxiety attack. And I feel like
Yeah.
most of anxiety is centered around that too. You know, it's centered around what I can't control. And I read a quote the other day that said, anxiety is produced by one thought, wanting to be there rather than here. And it said it way better than that, but that's the way I heard it. That's the way I remember it. And I thought that was really dope. And I think that it also goes into what we're talking about right now when we're focused on wanting to be there, right? It's so easy for us to, I want to be out of this time where this virus is taking over the world and everything's shut down, and then it's not, and things are better, and then they're not. And then the Black Lives Matter movement, which we'll be doing an episode on pretty soon as well, because we were not able to do that. That's something
Started and never finished.
we started. We did start, never finished. But yeah, like going through all of those things, and there's just these waves of nonsense that's happening in the world, and what is the president doing, and what in the politics, and the government is out to get us and kill us all, and there's so many different thoughts and so many different things. And if it's not one of those, then it's just a meme that really doesn't have anything to do with anything and doesn't really help anybody, and it makes us laugh for a little bit, but then we just keep scrolling, and to every one funny meme there's 10 panicky posts that do nothing. And so I think that's a really productive thing to think about, is what can we control? Like, how do we sit down and say, okay, like, make a list, dude. If you need to make a list, I think making a list would help. I've been making lists like crazy lately just because I've been trying to be more productive, and I think it's helped me a lot. Just what can I control in this moment? So going off that, what would you say, babe? What are a few things that you feel like for us, because this is like a genuine conversation we're having. This isn't something that we've pre-written or anything, but like bouncing the ball back and forth. What do you think are some things that like we can control? I can control these things, and you feel like it would help in this time.
You can control your relationships.
Ooh, that's a good one.
You can
that's
control your health.
True.
You can control what you engage with.
What things should we be engaging with? From Sandy B herself.
I think.
What do you think are some healthy things to engage with?
I think anything that is like a workout that you enjoy. I think like reading books.
In this house, what's the video? What's the workout video?
Jane Fonda.
We like Jane Fonda up in here.
Workout aerobics.
Total workout. We like Jane Fonda up in here. Jane Fonda's total workout tape. We get down to some Jane Fonda up in here. I wish I could do the steps right now. But.
What else?
So workouts.
Oh yes. I think reading helps a lot.
Healthy stuff though. Don't read all the news headlines.
No, I'm saying like a book.
Or at least for us. I'm
like
not trying
book,
to. Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, for sure.
What else? I would say like a yoga and meditation practice, which I have to get back into for sure.
Meditation practice for sure. Yoga practice.
Just because I think that like clears your mind, you know what I mean? Just if it is 10 minutes, if that's all you can afford, or even up to an hour to an hour and a half.
Yeah.
I think that's super, super important and a part of your overall health too.
Yeah.
What else can you control?
What else can you control? I don't know. Those are some really good things. I feel like we can dive into some of those and honestly probably have a really good conversation. So I think elaborating just a little bit on a few of the things that you said, elaborating on a few of those, like relationships, focusing on your relationships. That's something that we've been doing. Mm-hmm. We started a devotional, how long ago?
I think like 16 days ago.
Oh, go ahead.
Has it been 16 days?
I don't know. I feel like that's a high number, but
okay,
you're
maybe
right.
It's been 7 days. But we did one before.
We did. We've done a few back to back. We've done a few different devotionals. But yes, devotionals, if you don't know what that is, look at the Bible app. Boom.
Yeah, 15
15?
15 days.
Oh, dang.
We
That's
started
dope.
July 1st.
That's good. Okay. then we have done about 15 days of it. But so that's really helped. I think something for us is we've been really focusing on our marriage and really just like how to strengthen our communication, how to, for me, a really big focus has been like really being intentional about being a father and being a husband. Those are two things that have been huge for me, and a man of God, like, but that is the umbrella. Being a man of God is the umbrella of being a husband and being a father. Like, that falls under that. And what I mean by that is a big focus for me has been, how do I help us remain hopeful during this time? Like, as the father, as the husband, how do I make sure I'm taking care of you in terms of like speaking life into you? Because sometimes I feel like we think of those things in other realms. You know, we think of speaking life to, like, for me, I'll think of speaking life into the student that I teach once a week, and then it's like, oh, thanks, that's great, but then I'll come home and not speak any life into you, right? For example. And so I think that is a super crucial thing for me right now that I've been focusing on, is like, how do we as a family unit of 3 just stay focused on us and how to take care of ourselves mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically. Hashtag Jane Fonda, holla back. So yeah, like, I think those are really powerful things. Obviously, we've been staying off social media quite a bit. You said that
I just started.
You just started today. Praise the Lord. Can we take a moment? My God. No, that's gonna be nice though. I hope that helps you a lot, because you've been strizzassing over social media for a while now. I think that's gonna be very beneficial, and yeah, so I think that stuff's really good. So
what are some ways?
Oh, go ahead, do it, babe. No, do it. I always do it. You do it.
What are some ways you can apply hope to your life?
Like a pro. I salute you. I salute you, queen. So I think that going into that topic, what are some things, what are some ways, right? That's what you said. Yeah. What are some ways that we can apply hope? And this is really dope, because we just had the conversation literally like an hour ago, like you said, about this sounds really good. Like, we read scripture, we pray together, and it all sounds really good, but if we're not applying these things, it's really just another book.
It's just in one ear out the other. It's
in one ear out the other, which we just read the book. Did you finish the 4 agreements?
No,
Not yet. You're like close,
I'm starting
though.
The 3rd agreement.
Okay.
So halfway.
So, okay. Which you blazed through really fast. But the 4 agreements, if you haven't read it, it's a really dope book. I read it, and now Sandy's reading it. And that's a really dope book that talks about the first agreement is to be impeccable with your word. That sounds like a bunch of nonsense and probably doesn't sound like anything that you know what I'm talking about. That's why you need to read the book. Go on them. And so to be impeccable with your word, that's something that we've been talking about a lot lately and trying to hold each other accountable on. Is just like, when you speak, make sure you're, number 1, intentional about the words you speak, and number 2, with that intention, make sure it's the right intention, right? And so for us, when I think of like what we're saying, how do we apply hope? It's like, that's a really cool concept, and we love the word hope, and we love things that talk about hope, and we may say don't lose hope, but what does that even look like in our lives? And so I think for me, in my head, for starters, or maybe a main one, would be, number 1, fill your freaking brain with thoughts of hope. Not your brain, your mind. Fill your mind. Your mind is the dwelling place of all those crazy thoughts. And I think that I'm a really big believer. I tell almost all my students this, like, whatever you store in your head and in your heart, your mouth is going to speak from an overflow of it, right? We see that in scripture. And so I think that is a huge thing of how to apply hope to your life. If you start listening to music that's hopeful, if you start reading quotes, I love reading quotes. If you read quotes that are hopeful, if you listen to podcasts that are hopeful, hopefully this is one. Hold it back.
Oh.
I thought you were going to make a face.
Oh.
Yeah.
What face?
I don't know. That's a really good one. Okay. But yeah, so listening to podcasts that are hopeful, talking to people that are hopeful. If you know people that are Debbie Downers, don't talk to them. You don't have to cut them off, but during this time, limit that, because that's not going to help anybody. So yeah, I think those are some really powerful ways to get hope all up in your soul, and then you live from an overflow of the heart. So if you're filling yourself, if you're filling your heart with hope, if you're filling your mind with hopeful thoughts, then naturally you're going to start looking, right? They say it's the law of attraction. You're going to start looking and attracting things that are hopeful to you. You're going to start attracting hopeful people to you. We're not very social. That's a mic drop. Is that a mic drop? Can I get a mic drop? Thank you. I got a few snaps. But yeah, so if you live that way, if you fill your thoughts with that, then that's what's going to start happening to you. You know what I'm saying? And why? Oh my goodness. But yeah, I think that's the main thing. Would you add anything to that, Ben?
No, I think you pretty much covered it.
Actions. Yeah. We talked about that a little bit ago.
What do you mean?
Like if you're struggling with feeling hopeless, then
like
helping someone, right? So in your actions, like a lot of times they say a way to get out of your head is to get out and go help somebody, to go do something for someone else, because that's going to be the thing that is going to help you realize what's really important. And I think that's why God has made us to be in community with one another, because it's like, if I'm helping you and I'm focused on that, and not just entirely, but for the moment I'm focused on helping you, then it's going to help me sift through a lot of stuff that's going on in my heart, and realizing like, oh, you know what, like some of the stuff that I'm worried about is really petty, and I don't even need to be worried about it right now. And sometimes you just like wait till the storm is over. Sometimes helping someone keeps your mind active, and then the storm passes and you're like, all right, let's get it. So I think that's the second thing I would say.
That's one is hard right now though, like to get out.
Yeah, it is. But I think this is a version of that.
Right.
You know, like we've talked about that.
Right. But I'm saying like for other people that don't want to do a podcast, you know what I mean? So it's like
right.
Like it could be as easy as checking in with a friend that you know struggles with mental health. You know what I mean? And
okay, our camera died, but we're gonna jump right back in where, babe, you were talking about different ways to combat hopelessness. And so you said
Zoom.
Weekly FaceTime call with somebody.
Zoom.
You can text a friend. You can Zoom call with a group of people, which I think are really dope, tangible things. And then you were talking about like playing a game, doing a game night or something.
Yeah, like do a game night through like Zoom. And these are things we haven't even done, but just like I think community is so crucial even in the midst of all of this, because everyone is just isolating, and that's not good for us, you know. Like what happens to the people that don't have someone there, you know what I mean? Like at least you and I, we have each other, and we have my family here, and we can socialize amongst them. But for people that are alone, or for people that like they don't really socialize with who they're with, or it's causing tension, because it's hard to be with someone 24/7, you know what I mean?
That's real.
But just like trying that, you know, and it may be silly, like, oh, a game night through Zoom, you know, but I think we have to,
that sounds kind of dope,
like we just have to adapt, you know. We have to change just as much as the world is changing around us. Like we have to find ways to get creative and keep up, you know, so that we don't fall into that pit of hopelessness, you know. Like even if it's just that hour that you did that game, or a cocktail thing, you know what I mean, and you're laughing and there's jokes and laughter, even if that's the only, like that could be someone's only laughter the entire day. Come on, you know. So it's like, or the entire week even, you know. So I think like those are huge ways to combat that. Yeah,
I agree. That was really dope, babe. So I'm a mic drop for you now.
Thank you.
That's the mic hitting the floor. You're welcome. You've earned it. So last thing is quote. Oh, before we do the quote, the one thing I thought of when you were talking right now is like the last thing I really wanted to say is, during this time, like if you want to thrive, if you want hope, if you want joy, if you want to, what's the word I'm looking, I guess that's it. Like, if you want to be hopeful during this time, like right now it's a fight, you know, like you have to fight for it. And a lot of times we don't want to. We want it to just come to us naturally. We want our lives to just be full of hope.
Because everything is uncomfortable right now.
Exactly. And it's like your life isn't going to be full of hope until you construct it that way. Like, you have to operate your life. Your life is the thing that's entrusted to you. So if you don't like what's happening in your life, like, you have to be the one that goes in and operates it differently. Like, God gave you life so that you could have dominion in your life over yourself. Like, you can't change the world before you change yourself. Like, you have to start internally before anything else. Come on. I'm just saying.
It's pretty fast today.
But so it's a fight. Like, if you want it, you have to fight for it. If it's that important to you, like, if you're gonna if the easy thing is what you're gonna run to, then don't talk about the fact that you're sad. Don't talk about the fact that, oh, I just wish it was better. I wish it was this, or my friend's this, or that, like, whatever it is. Like, if you're not putting in the work to actually find hope and find joy and find love and find faith and all those things, if you're not putting in work for it, don't expect it to be in your life. You're not going to overflow with it if you're not the one actually pursuing it and actually being active in that pursuit. Like, we have to be active. I've been active with our conversations. You've been active with our conversations. Like, we've been constantly finding new ways to do that. And I feel like, despite today's been rough, but like, it's slowly but surely been a lot easier than I feel like it was before, because we've been doing it together, you know? So I like that. So last thing, quote of the episode.
Day.
Oh, sorry. Alexander Gray fell asleep.
That's unheard of.
Had the applause.
Okay. Although the world is full of suffering, it is also full of the overcoming of it.
Boom.
Helen Keller.
Although the world is full of suffering, it's also full with the overcoming of it.
One more.
Go for it.
Even the darkest night will end and the sun will rise.
Got him. Love it. Love it.
Love it or list it.
Love it or list it. Fixer upper. Take that, journal it, meditate on it, recite it to yourself.
Put it on a post-it
Put it
note
on a post-it
your mirror,
note.
your bathroom,
Mm-hmm.
your car,
Mm-hmm.
your phone,
Mm-hmm.
your face.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just kidding.
Mm-hmm. Especially your face. Every time you look in the mirror, right there on your forehead. No, I think those are really good though, and those are really positive, loving, hopeful things to focus on. But again, life is a game of focus. It's all a game of focus. So if you and I think that's what the first quote was talking about. If you focus on the negative, you're gonna see the negative. If you focus on the positive, you're gonna see more of the positive. So
Yeah.
got him, babe. First film and audio podcast recording done. We both look super bummy, but praise Jesus for the bumminess, because we alive. So yeah, this is kind of like a tester too. This is like our first time doing it, so we tested it. I'm happy with it though so far. I think it's gonna go good.
Till you edit.
So till I edit, then we'll see how stressful it is. But yep, that is a wrap. Hopefully this is the first, not hopefully, this is the first of many things you see on our YouTube channel.
Impeccable with your
Podcast.
words.
Be impeccable with your word. I'm impeccable with my word in these streets. Okay, we love y'all. Stay healthy, stay joyful, stay hopeful, stay soulful. Peace.